Hello, this is the Public Relations Podcast. It's a show all about PR-led marketing techniques for people in comms, those starting out, or if you're in a business, figuring out how to use it to support what you do. We look at ideas from people right around the world, reverse engineer things going on in the news, and we chat to other professionals about what they're doing, which is exactly what we are doing today. We also do a weekly newsletter as well. My name is Richard Midson. You can find me on LinkedIn under Midson. I'm a former news editor, broadcaster, and PR myself. Now, it is, of course, 2025, and although we've kicked off this year with a couple of episodes, one thing we haven't done is had a look at what is coming up for comms and PR this year. And I'm absolutely delighted to have on Lynn Quek from ACI, and she's going to tell us a bit more about that in a second. But the reason that I'm delighted to have her on is because we got chatting on LinkedIn about what might be happening this year. So instead of just having a private chat, we thought, let's do an episode about it. Let's actually get her on and record it. So Lynn, a huge good morning to you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Richard, for having me, and Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year. Listen, you work in financial services, and obviously we get a lot of different sectors coming on this show. But I mean, what do you think are going to be some of the things that, from a comms point of view, you've got to look out for this year, and how are you going to approach it?
Sure. So I work in a company called ACI Worldwide. We are a global leading provider in payments technology, powering the world payment ecosystem. And as you know, Richard, you are also based in Asia, that digital payments have gone mainstream, particularly with Asia Pacific leading the pack, right? So in 2025, I would say that the challenge, which is a good challenge for communicators like myself, will be to bring the narrative up a notch, to dive deep, to talk about nuances, usage patterns, behaviors, and going
And this is
deeper into
because the
story.
original
Yes,
story
actually.
has kind of run its course, right? The original story has kind of run
Yes.
its course. People are not so interested in hearing about digital payments because most people have heard about them, right?
Yes, that's right. And to also be able to differentiate the stories to get newsroom attention, I also see that with newsroom, they are seeing both a challenge and opportunity in generative AI when it comes to content. And
Mhm.
I do feel that newsroom are shifting a little bit more towards expert commentaries instead
Yes.
of like a brand piece, right? In order to counter that plagiarism and content generation issue from AI. So having differentiated opinions, good spokesperson who can actually push out our stories will be critical in 2025.
That's a really good point. I mean, this is something that I think I agree with you. I think the whole impact of AI is just going to become so much more this year. I mean, it's interesting. I was reading something today about the rise of print publications again, and even paywall news services. And this was something I've got
Mm.
to. I'm gonna be a bit egotistical here and say that, well, I actually predicted this last year when AI was starting to come about. I said I bet there's going to be a return of quality publications because there'll be so much
Mhm.
noise that people will want a more curated, higher quality experience. And it is interesting to see how that is. But if you want to get into those publications, you've got to have a good story to tell. You can't just do the generic stuff, can you?
Yeah. And the question is, how do we define quality uh, journalism, right? Quality story, right? And the source. I think one thing about generative AI is, be able to quote the source of the story, the original source, right? So that's where I feel that the spokesperson credibility and opinion comes in. It's something that cannot be replicated or generated
Yes.
from generative AI.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's actually that validation, isn't it, that is going to be a key thing. It's, as you say,
Mm-hmm.
because AI is just a generic source of multiple views mixed together. But I think it's also that's got to be one aspect. Another aspect is actually coming up with a story that is going to be unique. One of the problems that I think you see with AI and with a lot of like with AI news is that the stories are all pretty similar, aren't they? And so when
Yes.
you come to something
Mm-hmm.
like what you're doing, is how do you look at what you're doing and say, okay, well, there's a story there. How do you find those different angles that do you think could act as hooks in 2025?
Yeah, I think there's a huge change, particularly with, the I would say the scope and the velocity of news these days. There's just so much news. Some of them are noise, but so much news coming in all angles. And the lifespans of news are actually getting very short because the attention span of people are very short because they get hit by news from all angles, right? So newsjacking, I think, becomes very important, but also become highly challenging. So be able to newsjack on something that is trending, and you only have that short span of
Yes, you've got
time,
to go
and
fast,
you
very fast. Yeah.
yeah, and the media are under pressure,
Yeah.
to also quickly turn around. I think this is something that we need to be more agile in terms of our PR approach in 2025 to jump on kind of topical news and be able to offer a opinion or some advice quickly to turn around and reach out to the media.
How do you approach that as well? Because you're in a big organization. So do you have sets of people that you've already kind of identified as being, oh, they could be good on this, they could be good on that. I've done a bit of media training with them. How do you approach that in terms of newsjacking?
Yeah, we certainly have subject matter experts that have their own areas of specialization. For example, we have the banking sector that we serve in real-time payments. We have payments intelligence, fraud management experts as well. They cater to different kind of messaging and be able to speak to different kind of messaging when required.
Mm. So you've got those people. So are you monitoring almost daily then your what's going on? You're looking for newsjacking opportunities and then just go, right, let's get that particular person on.
Yeah, we do. The interesting thing about this industry is that it's moving so fast, and there's so much news and different kind of news that comes in. Right, it can be in the form of real time payments, adoption. It could be in the form of a new regulatory that comes out for digital payments. It could be one area that we see that particularly, I think you will know in Australia is very advanced in terms of pushing out regulations for fraud and scam and countering scams. I think this is a
Mm.
huge topic, not just for Australia, but almost all the countries that it has started to gone on or already in digital payments are really looking at combating fraud and scams.
It's also something, isn't it, that you can see is constantly concerning people. So, even if there's not necessarily a story today, there will be one next
Mm.
week. So by having someone ready to go and having that angle, how is it though that you're kind of looking at it and going, um, how can I make my comments stand out? Because the other problem, as you rightly say, with newsjacking is that everyone's doing it. So when a story comes out, everyone wants their company to be the person that comments on that story, don't they? So how do you kind of go to yourself, well, how can we give something that's just got that edge that's going to get over the line?
Yeah, I think for us, of course, we are not trying to be there every time.
Mm.
We want to be there where it makes sense, right? Where we can really offer value. The I would say the balance that we have to strike when it comes to fraud stories is we have to be able to newsjack, but with empathy and caution. If we were to jump on it, it will be a angle where we are able to offer advice, to promote awareness, and not be seen like we are jumping on it to promote ourselves. So I think that's the balance that we need
Mhm.
to strike. And also, there's so many different kind of fraud, right? And we have to see which is the area that we specialize in and be able to talk to it.
So what's your big thing, do you think, is going to change, not just in financial services, but in comms this year in 2025? I mean, we've talked about AI. So what else do you think is going to be like the thing that comms people are just going to have to be aware of this year from your experience?
Yeah, I think, maybe three things, and it is probably a recap of what I have said. One is to be able to bring more differentiated stories through expert views to the media. I think second is agility in terms of the fast turnaround, given the volume and speed of news these days. I would say thirdly is still back to the topic of AI. I think AI has changed from a buzzword to more like a blueprint, right? Like, how do we use AI?
Mhm.
How do we operationalize it? With communicators, I feel that there's a little bit of dilemma. Like, how do we innovate with AI, but without devaluing ourselves? There's this talk
Yes.
on one hand about using
Yeah.
AI in
Yeah.
communications, but
Yeah.
there is another kind of like angle where maybe not many communicators will want to see it like, oh, I want to use it, but I don't want to be seen using it. Because maybe there is a kind of self-disrupt, self-devalue, right? So I think that's, we will continue to see this balance in 2025. Like, what is the right way?
It's interesting that you say. I mean, there was a report out, I can't remember when it was the other day, and it was saying that something like 51% of all content on LinkedIn now has either been generated or has been edited with the help of AI. And I'm just as guilty as everyone else is. If we're honest with ourselves,
I know, I
who,
saw your
who
picture
would
and then
who
looks
wouldn't
good.
use? Oh, what? You mean that picture of me with the? Sorry if you're listening to the audio version. Well, frankly, if you're watching the video version of this, I put on a picture on LinkedIn not long ago, which I used AI, which basically does a I don't know, business portrait photo. Would you describe it like that, Lynn?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but
Well filtered
it
one.
exactly. It made me look slim and it made me look tanned and everything like this. Um, but it's just in
Not too
terms of
far
even just
from the
sorry.
actual though. But not too far from the actual though.
Oh no! Oh, you're too.
Uh,
But in terms of, from a communicator's point of view, why wouldn't we use these tools if it helps us edit
mm,
and it helps us do stuff like that? My concern, but I also see this as the opportunity, is the fact that some people are going to just use AI to generate things, but that's not going to
mm,
stand out. That's not going to be the comms which the media are going to pick up on or the public are going to pick
yeah.
up on. It's still got to have that certain bit of extra icing on the cake, that human element, which is going to be essential. So I don't think communicators are dead, so to speak. I think they've got an enormous opportunity, but we
Mm.
all together got to work out how to use this stuff effectively for us.
I mean, with the rise of misinformation and fake news, right? I mean,
Mhm.
definitely, I think we play a even bigger role than before. Uh, and with the greater mission, right? I'm trying to glorify it, but with the greater mission of bringing authentic, uh, and valuable
Yes.
news to the audience, right? And helping them to cut through the noise.
Yeah, but I don't think that's overblowing it. I think that couldn't be more real. One of my concerns in a way for companies this year is that people are going to carry on. I mean, the word authentic has been around for a few years now, and they're going to carry on still putting out cold corporate statements in the consumer market. And it just doesn't work anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's people have got to be more authentic and more creative. So I think comms is really essential now. It's people who understand what the media and what the public need. People like you. Uh,
Yeah, it's about, humanizing the story. And storytelling, I mean, this prediction has been around for a couple of years, right? But storytelling is going to play a bigger role than ever. As communications take on a more pivotal role in the organization.
Lynn, it's an absolute pleasure talking to you. If people want to reach out to you for any reason, I mean, what's the best way of getting hold of you?
Just catch me on LinkedIn. If you can't find me, search under Richard's Connection. You can find me there.
No
Well
problem.
connected to.
We can connect you. It's been such a pleasure. We must talk again because it's really interesting talking to you.
Thank you so much, Richard. It was so fun. Nice talking to you.